James Gunn's ego is out of control, Henry Cavill is out as the role of Superman, and right now there is a private Discord server / chat things with a bunch of journalists trying to pick apart old interviews because, let's make a hit piece. Because according to people, Henry Cavill is problematic because he's a gamer. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? He's a gamer. I mean, these people cannot be more absurd. He is everything that woke Hollywood hates. Right now, they're rebooting the Superman film series again, and do we really need another Superman reboot? Like, that's a whole thing of death, of just boredom, because it's been done so many times, Planet Krypton destroyed, and I'm sure they will try and frame it in a completely different way and be anti-capitalist, the millionaires that run film studios. They're film studios and it's horrible. I mean, at this point, he's coming into a Warhammer thing, which I think could be really cool. But will they let that happen because, he's problematic, because he wants to create something that's based on the law and disagreed with choices? Oh my God, he disagreed with a female writer. Dear God, how shocking. It's just absolutely a mess right now and a glorified shit show. I mean, with the Superman thing, it's basically James Gunn's ego. He can be a good director. He has very little comprehension of storytelling in a lot of his films. When he's good, he's good. When he's bad. But now with sort of the stuff that's happened behind The Witcher, and I feel like there's going to be some horrible hit piece written about Henry Cavill. It's not Cavill, Americans, it's Cavill, as in cavalry. It's absolutely a mess. I mean, you have someone who is passionate, that's into geek culture, that wants to create something big and create something that is representative of the books, of the property that he's working in, and wants to create that character. Film studios don't like that, because how dare you have a different opinion, and how dare you don't talk about modernity or feminism or modern politics. Just, it's a mess. And, an actor that should be so huge that is just, it's ridiculous. I mean, I saw a tweet from Penny Parker, journalist. Right now, there's a private Discord server full of journalists poring over Henry Cavill's interviews, looking for anything they can use. By this time next year, they'll be treating him like Gina Carano. And there is no way they will let Warhammer 40k happen, let alone us enjoy it. And it's true. I mean, it's an absolutely ridiculous situation. And it just feels so devoid of anything particularly good, because they want to get rid of the people who are passionate about the source material, that want to create something. The only way I can describe it, they want to create something that is all about the message, and they want to create something that is just a glorified piece of propaganda rather than caring or respecting the work. We saw it with The Witcher. The first season had promise. Was it the best season ever? No. Did it have a good start? Yes. And then progressively it went further away from the source material and further away from any of the stuff based in the books. I mean, the Slavic mythology was completely altered or manipulated, and it was stripped out of it. It feels very disconnected from the books now, and I say this, I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. Did I have problems with the Man of Steel movie? Yes. But they're not the problems other people seem to have. It was more the pacing, for me, drove me insane a little bit in places. And I'm going to say something really controversial. I am a fan of the Snyderverse. I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. I loved it. It was a good movie. Well, television series, whatever it was. I had, again, pacing gripes here and there, but actually I really enjoyed it. I got an interesting comment, actually, on another platform, and I want to talk about this here as well. Marvel superhero movies. Let's take characters, some of which have been around for 60 years, and build them up even more in theatres for a decade. Witcher TV show. Let's take characters built up for a decade, stray increasingly from the source material, and then go with a show that replaces the cast where people know that, and then goes with a show that replaces the cast with people no one cares about. Witcher TV show, why is nobody watching? Witcher TV show, racist, bigots, sexists. I mean, that's a paraphrased version of the comment, but it's true. They will blame the fans, they will do the same game as ever because anyone that likes this is this, or an instaphobe, or whatever way they want to phrase these words, and it just feels, it's very disingenuous, and the journalists working on this hit piece to try and destroy someone's career are disgusting. Ultimately, I feel like they just don't want anyone that's involved in geek culture involved in the products. We saw it the Marvel thing, turning an Atlantean into a South American Incan Aztec style thing, which was ridiculous. I think there's a legal reason behind that, by the way. I will say that. I think there is a legal reason with DC, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me. But it was the quote that came out, well, we wanted to base it on a real culture. So Greeks weren't a real culture, the ancient Greeks that ruled most of the Mediterranean and Egypt for hundreds upon hundreds of years. Like, it's just this sort of destruction more than anything. They want the rights, they want these stories, but they don't want to tell the stories as presented as they should be. They want to focus on modernity, fourth wave feminism, which is increasingly toxic, and many other things. People aren't going to engage with this because we don't want another Superman reboot. We want Superman at his prime. We want the character of Superman at his prime, fighting Lex Luthor, doing whatever. And admittedly, I don't think Superman has as strong a villains as, say, Batman, but there are some iconic villains within that list. Brainiac, for example. I love Brainiac. This sort of weird destruction of people that disagree or don't play the ball game or don't do this or don't do that. I mean, there was some Twitter stan account that was fawning over Henry 2 days ago, posted some ridiculous tweets. It just becomes this kind of dire, it's a circle jerk. And ultimately that's a problem, and we see it more and more and more. And I don't know how these companies think people are going to engage with a product that they're creating when they're not giving the audience what they want. As they learnt with Spider-Man, give the audience what they want, the audience will come. It's very simple. You want to make money, think of your core audience, and go from there. But they don't. They're all activists. They're all talking about this. They're all doing that, and it's just this bizarrely weird situation to be in. And you keep seeing it. And you keep seeing it over and over and over. And these film studios will then blame their failure on the fans and their failure of creating something. Because originality doesn't really exist. And that's something else. They can't create anything new. They can only destroy what's already been created. They can't come up with characters that are outside of themselves. They can't create characters who are anything other than shallow, hollow echoes of how they view themselves. And that's a really just sad situation for modern media. I mean, ultimately, the audience will switch off. They will. And it's very simple. The audience will switch off and say, well, we don't want this. This has been done. We want the characters that we remember. We want the books that we remember. And sadly, the film studios will fail at that. And they will keep failing at that. And it's just going to be a mess. And ultimately, and I know I keep saying that along, but I feel like the comic book movie thing is over. Like, people are turning off from comic book movies more and more. And I think part of it is franchise fatigue. I do. But I also think part of it is literally people are not getting what they want, and people want to escape from the modern world. Look at the movies that were most successful during World War II. Big budget Hollywood fluffy musicals. People want an escape. That's it. And it's kind of ridiculous, really, that they're not giving the audience that. Everything is about now. Everything is about this. Everything is about that. but they can't seem to realise that if they want money, that's how they're going to make it. Give the audience what they want. Hire writers that care about the franchise, that are fans of it. Hire actors that know what they're doing. Hire actors that are fans. I mean, Henry Cavill is perfect casting for this kind of stuff. I know this video is a bit of a ramble, but it's just such an abhorrent situation. And these hit pieces are going to come out. They're going to try and destroy someone's life and career. And sadly, and I mean this, sadly, I think it's just going to be another journalists and the film writers patting themselves on their head, blaming the fans for their own failures, and I add this, then attacking the fans for their own failures. So, what can they do? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd be really interested to hear your take on this. Like, everything is there, and if you're interested in my social media, whatever, all of the links and info you need is in the description. So I will talk to you guys later.